Jai Swaminarayan. Today we're starting a new section in the Vachanamrut. This is the Panchala section. The first one is titled One Who is Intelligent and Applying a Thought Process. On Phagun Sudhi the 4th, Samvat 1877, or the 7th of March 1821, Shriji Maharaj was sitting on a large decorated cot that had been placed on a platform in Jinabhai's Darbar in Panchālā. He was wearing a white angarku and a white case. He had tied a white feto around his head, the end of which was hanging on the right side. He had also covered himself with a white blanket. At that time, an assembly of Paramhansas, as well as devotees from various places, had gathered before him. Then, after the evening arti had been performed, Shriji Maharaj sat on a cylindrical pillow and said, I wish to ask a question to all of these senior Paramhansas and senior devotees. One may have affection for God and also firm resolution to observe dharma. However, if one has not applied a thought process, then the extremely alluring vishais, objects of the senses, i.e. alluring sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touch, will never be considered equivalent to the extremely repulsive vishais, nor will they be considered inferior to them. So, which thought must be applied so that the extremely alluring vishais seem equivalent to or inferior to the extremely repulsive vishais? I ask this question to all of the senior Paramahansas and to all of the senior devotees. Whoever has, through whichever thought, realized the alluring vishais to be like the repulsive vishais, or has realized them to be far more repulsive than even the repulsive ones, please reveal your thoughts. Thereafter, all of the Paramhansas and all of the devotees disclosed their thoughts. Shriji Maharaj then said, Having heard your thoughts, I shall now tell you about the thought which I have maintained. Consider the following example. If someone sends a letter from a distant land, the intelligence of the writer of that letter can be inferred by reading the letter. Now, the appearance and manner of speech of the 5 Pandavas, Draupadi, Kuntaji, Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, and the other queens of God, of God's Son, Sambh, and of other devotees are written in the scriptures. By hearing those scriptures, inference of their appearance allows us to visualize them as if having first-hand darshan, viewing presence. Also, their intelligence can be inferred from their words. In the same manner, one hears from the Purans, the Mahabharata, and other scriptures that God is the all-doer, responsible for creation, sustenance, and dissolution of the cosmos, and that he eternally has a form. If he did not have a form, he could not be called the all-doer. Furthermore, Akshar Brahman is the abode in which God resides. It is that God who has a divine form, who is luminous and blissful, and who at the time of creation gives a buddhi, intellect, indriyas, sense organs, aman, a mind, and prans, vital energies, to the jivas, the souls, that had been merged in maya, material existence, along with their karan, their causal bodies, at the time of dissolution. Why does he give these to the jivas? Well, he does so to enable them to indulge in the superior, intermediate, and inferior types of vishais, experiences of the senses, as well as for the purpose of attaining liberation. God has created enjoyments and places of enjoyment for the sake of those jivas, but within that, the creation of the superior Vishais are for the purpose of alleviating the miseries of the inferior Vishais. For example, a wealthy merchant may have had trees planted on both sides of a road to provide shade. They may have had water fountains constructed. They may have also had almshouses and guest houses constructed. They do all this for the poor. Similarly, before God, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and other devas are as poor as those paupers. Of 47, which I'm not sure which system they're using, either the system mentioned at the beginning of the passage, each passage, which would make the probably the 1800s. That would make sense of this Indic calendar system. I'm not sure if it's localized to Gujarat or some other place, but yeah. Otherwise, if it was 47 in the Gregorian calendar, that would have to be 1747, perhaps, since this took place on 1821 in the Gregorian calendar. Otherwise, Sriji Maharaj is referring to an event 30 years ago in the Indic calendar. Who boiled the fruits of peepal trees and then ate them. It is God who has created those superior Vishais for the happiness of Brahma and the other devas and for humans. Also, in the previous example, since the rich merchant builds amenities in the form of almshouses, guest houses, etc., for the sake of the poor, it is obvious that compared to those, the luxuries in the merchant's own home must be far greater. Similarly, God has created happiness for Brahma and others so that it is obvious to an intelligent person that compared to those, the bliss of their own abode must be far more superior. An intelligent person can, then, infer that there is an extreme abundance of bliss in the abode of God. As a result, the alluring Vishais become repulsive for them. Furthermore, all of the happiness related to Vishais, which is apparent in this world, be it for animals, humans, devas, ghosts, etc., is only due to some relation with God. And when coupled with dharma, but the bliss that is in God himself cannot be found anywhere else. Consider the following example. The light from this burning torch, which falls a short distance away, is not as intense as the light in the vicinity of the torch. Very far away there is no light at all. In the same way, elsewhere there is only a little bliss. But absolute bliss is only available in the vicinity of God. The further one is distanced from God, the less bliss one experiences. Pardon me. Therefore, one who is an aspirant realizes, the further I am from God, the more miseries I will face, and ultimately I will become extremely miserable. On the other hand, even the slightest association with God will provide much bliss. Therefore, I wish to keep close association with God. By doing so, I shall experience the highest form of bliss. One who thinks in this manner keeps a desire for the bliss of God and employs any means to maintain very close association with God can be called intelligent. Moreover, the happiness of humans exceeds the happiness of animals, and the happiness of a king exceeds that, and the happiness of devas exceed that, and the happiness of Indra exceeds that, then Brihaspati's happiness, then Brahma's, then Vaikunth's. Beyond that, the happiness of Gorlok is superior, and finally, the bliss of God's Akshardham is far more superior. In this way, realizing the intensity of the bliss of God, one who is intelligent realizes all other pleasures related to the Vishayas to be insignificant. Compared to the bliss of God, the pleasures of Brahma and others are like that of a poor person who begs with an earthen vessel at the door of a rich householder. When I think of the bliss of the abode of that God, I become indifferent to all other forms of happiness, and I feel, when will I leave this body to experience that bliss? Moreover, when I naturally indulge in the Panch Vishayas, the experiences of the five senses, I entertain no particular thought, but if I were to sense some pleasure in an object, my thoughts would immediately be diverted to the bliss of God, and my mind would become extremely indifferent. These thoughts can only be fully realized by one who is intelligent. In fact, I have affection towards one who is intelligent. Why? Because I myself am intelligent and my thought process is such. Moreover, one who is intelligent will also think similarly. By the way, we're using the word intelligence so many times. The faculty of intelligence, our intellect, is our buddhi. Buddhi is a very beautiful word, and although probably the closest equivalent concept is the faculty of intelligence or the intellect in English, it comes from the root buddh in Sanskrit that refers to awakening or understanding something, opening up to a new reality. Other related words are bodhi, which means awakening, as in bodhicitta, awakening consciousness, or the bodhi tree, the awakening tree under which the Buddha reached enlightenment. As well as Buddha, which means the awakened one, and buddhi, the faculty of awakening. And its job is to discern between asatya and satya, unreality and reality. That's called viveka, discrimination. So perhaps when you hear the word intelligence in this passage, you can think of having the discrimination to awaken to what is reality. Moreover, one who is intelligent will also think similarly. In this way, it appears to me that my thought is superior to all of your thoughts. Therefore, all of you should firmly imbibe this thought of mine in your hearts. Without applying this thought, if one's vritti does become attached to alluring vishayas, it will barely become detached, and that too after much effort. As for one who has applied this thought, however, very little effort is involved in withdrawing one's vritti, which are thought forces. One can easily realize the vanity of the Vishayas. This fact can be understood by one who has a sharp intelligence and a craving for higher happiness. For example, a paisa is worth more than a kauri, and a rupee more than that. A gold coin is more valuable than that, and a chintamani is more valuable than that. Similarly, wherever there are pleasures of the Panch Vishayas, the bliss of God in His abode is far more superior in comparison. Therefore, this thought only settles in the heart of a person who is intelligent and who thinks in such a manner. When this thought does firmly settle in the heart, even if they happen to be in the forest, they would feel, I am surrounded by countless people and the wealth of a kingdom. They would not believe themselves to be miserable. Conversely, if they were in Indra's realms, they would feel, I am sitting in a forest. They would not be gratified by the pleasures in the realm of Indra. In fact, they would realize those pleasures to be vain. Therefore, keeping this thought in mind, all of you should resolve, now we want to reach only the abode of God, We do not want to be tempted by the vain pleasures of the Panch Vishayas along the way. So, please keep such a firm resolve, because what I have told all of you is my principle. Please imbibe it firmly in your lives. Thank you for listening to Panchālā 1 of the Vachanāmrut. I hope this passage has been insightful for you. Jai Swaminarayan.